So this is Tony.
And I'm Kyle.
We're here to go over a little bit about leasing, some of the fundamentals, kind of a 101 class. I noticed that a lot of people a little bit uninformed on leasing in our day-to-day with the general public. So we want to go over and give everybody just a good understanding of some of the benefits of leasing.
So how does the lease work? Basically, the manufacturer, they're going to pick a residual value for the vehicle that you decide to go with, and that residual value is going to be based on how many miles you drive it over a certain length of time, usually being 3 years. So they'll pick a value on your vehicle after 3 years with around 36,000 miles on it, because the average consumer drives about 12,000 miles a year, and they're going to put a value on that vehicle that's locked in place, so you're going to know what that vehicle is going to be worth at the end of your lease.
Kyle, one of the things that comes up quite a bit is how long can somebody lease a vehicle? Do you have to have it for 3 years?
There's other options too. You can do a 2-year lease if you decide, but most people benefit just from doing a 3-year lease. It seems to work the best.
Sure. I think right now the statistics, people are getting in and out of their vehicles about every 3 to 4 years, so it falls in really in line with that.
Yeah, exactly. Even if somebody chooses to purchase the vehicle, buy it outright, they end up trading it, after 3 or 4 years of ownership. So
sure. One of the things that people often come in and ask, they don't know a lot about leasing. They say, well, who should lease a vehicle? Kyle, do you want to talk a little bit about who should, in fact, lease a vehicle?
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, I think everybody should have a vehicle. One thing that comes up a lot is the miles that the consumer puts on. You can set up a lease, whatever works best for you. If you drive, real low miles every year, you can set it up for, say, 10,000 miles a year. If you put on a lot of miles like I do in my lease, I have my lease set up for 15,000 miles a year. So you can go up and above that too. And the great news is that however many miles you plan on driving, that's going to have an effect on the residual value we talked about earlier. Or obviously, if you drive less miles, the vehicle is going to be worth more at the end, or if you put on more miles, they adjust that. So everyone's worried about mileage when it comes to leases, but they set it up for the consumer on your driving habits, and so you're only paying for the portion of the vehicle that you use.
Perfect. So they accommodate for all of that, and more miles can be built in, like you said. Of course, living up here in the Northwoods country of northern Wisconsin, everything takes a little bit further to get to, but great news, you can build your miles out. You are protected against that.
Yep, absolutely. And one more point on that too. When you buy a vehicle, let's say you buy it, you own it, that vehicle depreciates every mile that you put on it, about 50 cents per mile. Is that right?
Yeah.
On a lease, it's less than that. It's actually about half. That vehicle depreciates about a quarter, or 25 cents per mile that you put on. So people are like, oh, I put on way too many miles. Well, if you put on a lot of miles, you can't afford not to lease at that point.
Absolutely. So again, one of the benefits to a lease can actually be the shortened ownership length. Again, paying for the portion of the vehicle that you actually use. So that 36-month term, again, most people are in and out of their vehicles about every 3 to 4 years. With that, what happens is most individuals never end up actually paying off the full amount of their loan for the vehicle, the full financed amount.
If they purchase it.
If they purchase the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And a leasing really kind of helps protect you against that. So at the end of your lease experience, you don't have to worry about things like owing more than what the car is actually valued at. The lease protects you against that sort of thing.
Right. If you buy a $50,000 vehicle and you take a loan out for 5-6 years and you go to trade it within 3 to 4 years, you're going to owe a lot more on that vehicle than what the vehicle's worth. So we hear a lot of reasons from our consumers on why they don't want to lease, or why they think the lease isn't best for their situations. One of the most common ones we hear is that, well, I don't own the vehicle.
Right. And once again, kind of going back, I keep going back to this, but if you're in and out of a vehicle every 3 to 4 years, you never pay the vehicle off in full. You still owe a financed amount on it. You have a lien on the vehicle. Who actually owns the vehicle?
Right, the title's at the bank.
Exactly. The bank owns the vehicle until you pay off every last red cent. So one of the things that's nice about the leasing experience is that you really get all the benefits of ownership and none of the exposures as well. You don't have to worry about, again, owing more than what the vehicle might be worth when you're ready to get out of it. So as far as owning the vehicle and who actually owns it, really you're just paying for the portion that you use.
And also, let's say you bring up, most people when they purchase a vehicle, they take a loan out for 5 to 6 years. In a lease, you're owning that vehicle the best part of its life, brand new to about 36, maybe 45,000 miles. That vehicle is going to be covered under full manufacturer warranty. You're going to get all the perks of free maintenance, that type of thing. If you own that vehicle after 3 years, you say you're going to keep it for 5, 6, then you start getting into things like, maintenance that's out of pocket. If, unfortunate scenario, you end up, having some sort of breakdown or engine problems, transmission problems, that all comes out of your pocket. Where in a lease, you have it for just the portion that's, fully covered.
Another common thing that people come in and say is that they're going to have nothing to show for the vehicle at the end of it. Again, that can definitely be beneficial, not having to owe an extra amount for what the vehicle is actually worth, as opposed to what you actually owe on the vehicle when it comes time to trade it in, when you get tired of the vehicle. Or, heaven forbid, if there's an accident and the vehicle has to be totaled, most leases are built with gap protection, the guaranteed asset protection. So you have that as well with one of the benefits of leasing, really.
Also, a common one that I hear from a lot of folks, especially in this area, is that they're kind of rough on the vehicle. They drive it through the woods. They keep their dogs in it. They might scratch it. They don't want to have to, worry about somebody putting a door ding in it. And that stuff is true. But with leases, there's a lot of great protections that you can put on the vehicle that protect against scratches. They allow for dents, even interior clean. There's windshield protections that you can get on them and truly cover that vehicle fully. And the true cost of ownership is significantly less than if you were to buy that vehicle.
Absolutely. And even when turning a vehicle in for a lease, there is a little bit of forgiveness that the manufacturer does allow for. They expect a few door dings, they expect a scratch or two. So for a lot of people, a lot of that stuff, that everyday use, does get forgiven.
So some people that are looking to start off a lease, they have a trade-in, and they have positive equity in that vehicle, meaning that their vehicle is worth more than what they owe on it. Let's say $10,000. So you have a couple options there. You can take all that money. So let's say your vehicle is worth $20,000, you owe $10,000 on it. We can give you a check for that $10,000. We'll pay off your vehicle, give you a check for $10,000. Or you can take some of that money and put it towards a down payment on your lease. So let's say you want to put $2,000 down, bring that payment down just a little bit. We'd write you a check for $8,000. So you're not missing out anything on your trade-in value there. You're actually benefiting from it.
Absolutely. And you can actually get that lease payment exactly where you want it to be and still get some money back if you're in a positive position with a trade-in vehicle.
So what are the options at the end of the lease?
So some of the great things about the leasing experience is the options at the end. So if you finance a vehicle, you get one choice. You get one option to pay for the entire vehicle, to live out the life of the lease, to live out the life of the financing rather, and then to pay it off. You own the vehicle, that's it. With leasing, you really get 4 different things that you can go through. So option 1, you love the vehicle, you can't bear to part with it, it's been the best driving experience of your life. You know exactly what the amount is at the end of your lease, what that residual amount is that you're going to owe for the vehicle that you can buy the vehicle for at the end of the lease.
Right, which you know that value from day one. Before you even sign the paperwork, you know what you can buy that vehicle for at the end of the term.
So the second option that most people have is, you know what, I enjoyed the lease experience, but going forward, I just really don't want to do anything else with it. I like the car, but not enough to buy it. I think I'm just kind of done with vehicles for a while. Turn the keys in, walk away. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about it.
No matter what the value is on that vehicle. If let's just throw a number out there, we decide that the residual value in your vehicle is going to be $25,000 at the end of your lease. With things changing, the market changing, could be gas prices, it could affect the value of that vehicle. Let's say it's worth now it's $20,000. So what can you do there?
Well, that's one of the nice things too, is you're actually protected against that. Again, with the manufacturer setting that closed residual value, that extra $5,000 hit, that goes right back to the manufacturer, nothing out of your pockets. You are insulated against those market forces.
Awesome.
So you can just turn the keys in, walk away. The other thing that you have the option for is actually trading the vehicle in. I always suggest this anytime I have guests coming back at the end of the lease is, hey, let's sit down, give us half hour of your time. Let's find out if this vehicle does have any positive equity, or if the vehicle is actually worth a little bit more than what they determine that residual value to be. Because hey, great news, we know exactly where that vehicle has come from. We want that for our lot.
Absolutely.
We know that you've taken great care of it, and we want to be able to pass that vehicle on to somebody else. Also, why not see if there's a little bit of trade value there? You know, put that towards your next lease, put that towards your next vehicle purchase.
So the value of the vehicle could exceed the predetermined amount that, you know, the residual value of what they said it's going to be worth. Trading it into us, the dealership, we could give you more. So let's say they thought it was $25,000. Hey, it's worth $27,000. Tony, here's $2,000. You know, choose what you want to do with it.
Absolutely, it's one of the best things. So there's also, again, that final and fourth option, something a little bit unique. If you do the market research yourself, you find out, hey, this truck I bought, the residual value was going to be $28,000. It's actually worth about $32,000. You can actually sell your lease on your own. You can sell the vehicle outright.
Yep. Give GM or Toyota their $28,000 back, and then you profit, you know, the rest.
Absolutely. I've heard a story or two like that in my day. Actually, one of our managers here did exactly that, made about $4,000 on a vehicle. So, at the end of the day, leasing really, in our opinion, in my opinion, it's the way most people should look at purchasing their vehicle.
Absolutely. The true cost of ownership is significantly less, and there's only good things that come from it.
Absolutely. You get all the benefits of ownership with none of the risk. You're protected for the best part of the vehicle's life. You get the free maintenance and really all the warranty coverages.
So we're going to take a minute, just give you a quick numbers breakdown on a real world example of approximately how a lease works. So let's just say you're buying a brand new vehicle and the MSRP is $35,000. So that's what you could buy the vehicle for. All right, so we're going to take a look into how many miles you plan on putting on and the term of it, so how long you're going to have it. So we're going to do a 3-year term, so 36 months, and let's just say 15,000 miles a year. So with that setup, the manufacturer is going to figure out your residual value, and they usually go off a percent. They're going to say that this vehicle is going to be worth about 60% of that MSRP in 3 years with 15,000 miles, so 45,000 miles at the end of the 3 years. So 60% of the 35,000 is $21,000. So that's your residual value. That's the amount that we were talking about before you can buy the vehicle for. If you trade it in, it's worth $23,000. That's where you get your $2,000 of positive equity for. So where does the monthly payment come in? Basically, you're looking at this depreciation here. So the difference of $35,000 to $21,000 is $14,000. So they're going to say that the vehicle with that many miles for 3 years will depreciate this month. So you break that down, you know, over that 36 months that you have it for, and that'll put you right about somewhere around a payment of $400.
Yeah, and only financing that $14,000 as opposed to the $35,000 mark. Kyle, what's the difference on that going to look like?
Okay, so let's say Tony leases a vehicle. You're looking at buying a house. If you want to set up a mortgage or anything like that, they're going to look at your credit report. If you were to buy this vehicle, they're going to show that you owe somebody $35,000. So that's going to kind of affect your debt to income ratio, where if you leased it, you're only going to owe $14,000. So you're going to have, you know, a lot more opportunities to you that way just because of the situation you're in.
So it reflects a little bit better on the credit as well.
Absolutely.
For a brand new vehicle.
Right. So what if you wanted to buy this vehicle? Let's say 5-year term, we can just use, in the car industry, we know that for every $1,000 you finance will cost you about $20 a month. So at let's say you do a 60-month term, that's going to be $700 a month to own that vehicle if you were to purchase it.
And again, at the end of those 36 months, you're out of warranty, so you still have 24 months of the vehicle and payments, but you don't have any of that protection for that comprehensive kind of bumper-to-bumper warranty as well.
Right. And you have to pay this off. I mean, you have to pay the $35,000 to get that title in hand.
Absolutely.
Now, that's going to be 5 years down the road. You know, the vehicle's going to have maybe 100,000 miles on it. You're going to be looking to get a new one. So, you know, in this situation, after 5 years, you could have leased 2 vehicles, keeping your payment for, $400 a month, you just owned a vehicle for 6 years, as opposed to over here where you're paying $700 a month for the same vehicle.
Absolutely. And the entire time you own this one, you're protected.
So over here, after 3 years, your comprehensive warranty goes away after 3 years. So you're going to own that vehicle for an additional 3 years, where we were talking about earlier, any maintenance, any breakdowns, anything like that comes out of pocket.